Hello everyone, here we go again to learn something new. Okay, our today's objectives are the following. Determine the similarities and differences in the materials viewed through textual aids. Identify the strategies and comparative thinking skills. And then distinguish primary sources from secondary sources of information. To begin with our lessons, let's have first this activity. What can you say about these pictures? Okay, so they are both a balls. They are all pencils and they are corn kernels. Okay, so what you have observed? Yes, balls differs in sizes and colors. Okay, the first ball is bigger than the second ball. And then when it comes to the pencil, yes, they are arranged and they are arranged according to the length. And then for the third picture, the first punladal having more corn kernels, unlike with the second one, as having only one corn kernels. So, based from your observation class, what can you say about it? Okay, so most of the observations that you made are the comparison. Okay, the comparison or the difference, and then the similarities of the objects. Okay, so what do you call that class? What skills that you develop in comparing two things or comparing two or more things? Yes, when you are comparing things, you are developing a comparative thinking skills. So what is a comparative thinking skills? So what is it? It provides foundational cognitive skills that support early learning. Okay, why is it early learning? Because they said that even we are young or even we are infant, we know already to compare. Okay, like for an infant, they know already if they are cuddled by their parents or not. Maybe because the smell or the way how their parents cuddle them. Okay, have you observed that class? When they are cuddled with their parents, they are happy and then they will not cry. But then once they are cuddled by someone else, okay, so there's a tendency that they will cry and then they will look for their own parents or their mother. Okay, and then comparative thinking skills also is think by comparing two or more similar different factors at the same time. So we are not only looking for the differences, but then also the similarities. So when we are talking about comparative thinking skills, we cannot avoid these two words, which is the compare and then the contrast. So what is a compare? So when we say compare, we are showing the similarities or we are looking for the similarities of things. Okay, like for examples, okay, the picture that I showed you a while ago, okay, like they are both balls. Okay, they are pencils and then they are corn kernels. So those are the similarities of that things. While in the contrast, it's showing differences between two things that are related in some way. So the differences, okay, of the things. Like in the balls, they are both balls but they are different sizes and then in colors. Pencils differ in length and then sizes too. And then corn kernels differ in numbers. Okay, so you know now the difference of the compare and contrast. So let's now proceed in the strategies determining comparison and contrast. So in determining comparison and contrast, we have to use this following. Okay, first we have the use of graphic organizers. So what do you think is the graphic organizer that best suit for this? Yes, we can use the Venn diagram. Okay, the Venn diagram, the circles that two circles that overlaps with each other. Wherein in the middle part we write the similarities, Okay, and then on the sides of this of each circles we write the differences. Okay, and then we can also use the chart. Okay, the chart are also called a matrix diagram, matrix diagrams, or a table. Okay, it looks like this. So writing the attributes, okay, the similarities and differences attributes of things that we compare. Okay, and then another one, second one is the use of the steps on how to approach compare and contrast questions. So first step is analyze the questions. So in analyzing the questions, student must break the questions down into the simplified parts. Okay? So by focusing on what? By focusing on the uh, by focusing on the differences and the similarities of opinions. Okay, the similarities and differences of opinions. Okay, like for example, the students are asked, okay, to differentiate the two critics or two writers. So student must focus on the different opinions or different views of that writers or critics. Okay, and the next one is the identify similarities and differences in the content. Okay, so in the content. So what do you mean by that? Okay, so in this case, the student should begin a process. Okay, a process, the appropriate, no, process of the appropriate information in the text by highlighting it, okay, by underlining it, making making notes in a bullet forms, or using a graphic organizers. Okay, and then the third one is identify similarities and differences in the structures. Okay, so how is the form being made? Okay, the structure of it. So when it comes to structure, okay, we need to focus in the length. Okay, in the length of sentences or the paragraph. Okay, the progressions of ideas and arguments. Third one is the point of view, whether it is an emotional or informative one. Okay, the use of stylistic elements. Okay, like for example, the use of literary figures, like figures of speech or idiomatic expressions. Okay, and then another one is the use of facts and then the statistics, or it can be also the general theme or the genre of the selections. Okay. And then step 4 is the identify similarities and differences in media. So we should also identify what is medias being used. Okay. Whether it is printed or it is online. Okay. And then how it is, how the online text is being presented, whether it has a videos or has an audio tracks. Okay. And then next one is the evaluate. Okay. So in evaluating, so you should must focus in the text which is most convincing, and then which of the text is best appropriate, which text is best employs appropriate media, and then which of the text is most enjoyable. Okay, so those are the steps on how to approach compare and contrast questions. Okay, so do you have any questions about the comparative thinking skills, class? So just remember when we are talking about the comparative thinking skills, remember from the root word itself, compare. Okay, so it is skills used to compare two or more things. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Okay, so do you know who is she? For sure, everybody is familiar with her. So yes, this is Dora. Okay, Dora the Explorer. So she always carries her bag. And inside her bag is the map. Okay, this is the map. Okay. So do you know the use of that map to Dora? So yes, she used it in order to find, okay, the things that she is looking. And then she used it also uh, for the information, no? To get the information and where she will find it, no? Where she will find the things, or in where she will go in her next adventure. Okay, so we are talking about information. So what do you mean by information? Okay, so information is the knowledge that you get about someone or something, facts or details about a subject. Okay, so like for example, the simple asking the name of your classmate, so that is an information. Okay, giving direction, that is also an information. Okay, so we have two sources of information. So maybe you are asking how is it related in our lesson, in our previous lesson, the comparative thinking skills. Okay, later in our further discussion, you will discover, okay, how it becomes related in the comparative thinking skills. Okay, so first one, we have the primary source. Second one is the secondary source. A primary source is a first-hand account of an event. So when we say primary source, okay, contains new informations that has not been interpreted, evaluated, paraphrased, or condensed. So meaning it's the original, okay, the origin of something, okay, something new, okay, first-hand account. Okay, from the word primary. Okay, so what are those primary sources of information? They are okay. Example of this are the letters, diaries, or journals. Okay, these are unpublished materials which are created at the time of an event. Okay, these sources are often rare or one of a kind. So like for example, whether it is a love letter, friend letter, business letter, application letter, it is written, which is written by you, so that is a primary source of information. Even when you are jotting what happened to you that particular day, okay? So writing your diaries and journals, that is also an example of primary source of information. Another one is the government documents. So like for examples, the NSO or the PSA. Okay, your birth certificate. So as you born, you have that. So that is a primary source of information. Okay, and then marriage contract. Okay, so that is also a primary source of information. Even you get married once, twice, thrice, okay, they are still considered as a primary source of information. Okay, the title of your land or the tax declaration, that is also a primary source of information. Okay, and then we have the manuscript. Okay, if you compose a song, so since it's your own compositions, it will be considered as a primary source of information. When you write stories, a plays or novel, okay, that is also called manuscript, that considered as a primary or an first-hand account, okay, of an event. Okay, so next is the videotape. Okay, so once you are taking a videos, like for example, when you are celebrating your birthdays, so the video recording that you are taking is considered as the primary source of informations. Okay. And then next is the artifacts. Okay. So these are the simple objects, a tool or weapon that were made by the people in the past. Okay. So those are examples of a primary sources of information. Okay, where it is which is the original, okay, original or uh, the original form of informations or source information made by you. Okay, so no one interpreted it, or no one explained it or modified it. Okay, so let's now proceed to the secondary source of informations. Okay, we have the information that gives a second hand. Okay, second-hand account created later by someone who did not experience or participate in the event. So from the root word is of second. So it's not actually the original. Okay, it was being modified by someone. Yeah, like what it said, no, someone who did not experience or participate it in the event, but then they are the one who make it as a secondary source of information. Yan, it describes, discuss, interpret, comment upon, analyze, evaluate, summarize, and process primary sources. So from the primary sources, they process it to become the secondary sources of information. Example of this are history textbooks. Okay, not actually history textbook alone, but all the kinds of books, and then even it is a reference book, these are considered as secondary source of information. Why? Because these books is a compilations of information or ideas of different peoples or different authors. Okay, so we cannot say it as a primary source of information anymore. Okay, because there are lot of people who contributed, okay, to compile informations and ideas and details to make it a book. Okay, so same with the encyclopedia. Okay, so contains information on all branches of knowledge. Okay, and then those informations, okay, and then those details are coming from different people. Okay, compiled to become as an encyclopedia. And same with the newspaper. Yan. So obviously, newspaper is we cannot consider it as primary. Okay, why? Because the news there, okay, the news are contributed by different people. Okay, there are lots of contributors of the news in the newspapers. Okay, and then same with the magazines. The pictures, okay, the pictures that we can see in the magazines, yan, the features, story in the magazines are coming from different persons or different people. Okay, they just collected it. Okay, they just collect the pictures and then publish it. Okay, place it in the magazine and then publish it. That's why it becomes a secondary source of information. Okay. So, can you see now the difference of the primary and secondary sources of information? And then can you figure out now how it becomes related to our lesson, the comparative thinking skills? Yes, since we are talking about comparison, okay, comparative thinking skills, the similarities and differences of things, ideas, or information. So, look at the primary and secondary. They are both similars, no? Okay, similar in a way that they are both a sources of information. But they differ, okay, in such a way that primary is a second first-hand account of information, unlike with the secondary, the second account of information. Okay. So let's have now our activity. So in this activity, we'll just say yes or no. Okay. So let's see. Number one. A girl found a box of letters written by a soldier to his wife and children during the Civil War. Are those letters our primary documents? Okay, what do you think? Letters are primary documents? The correct answer is yes. Yes. As we discussed it a while ago, letters are considered a primary document or a first-hand account source of information. Okay, next. I went to visit my grandmother. She gave me chess. The chest was filled with her childhood items. She told me that she loved her things. When I opened it, I found her toys, some photographs, and her birth certificate. Are those things our secondary documents? What do you think? So the correct answer is no, because photographs and birth certificate as a government document, this is considered as a primary document. Okay, and then third one, boy went to the library and found a newspaper written in 2005 about the first Native American tribes. Is that newspaper a primary document? Newspaper? Okay, so the correct answer is no, because a newspaper is a secondary source of information wherein there are lots of contributors of that news in the newspapers. Next is one famous painter in the 16th century was Leonardo da Vinci. He painted a special pictures called Mona Lisa. The original painting is hanging in France. Is that a primary document? What do you think? So that is yes. Okay. Because since that picture was made a long time ago and that's considered as an artifact, that is considered as a primary document. Then next one South Carolina's governor was Storm Thurmond. He gave a speech in 1950. There is a video clip of his speech. Is video clip a primary document? Okay, analyze it carefully. Yes, it is a primary document. Okay, so do you have any more questions about what we had discussed? So if you don't have any questions or clarifications, okay, I will now give you the quiz. Okay, so in this quiz, you are going to identify whether the following are primary or secondary source of information. It's just a 10-item test, and then for sure, it's very, very easy for you class. Okay, so this is your quiz, and then I will just post it in the Google Classroom. So if you don't have any questions, clarifications, okay, so that is the end of our lessons. I'm expecting that you learned something, okay, something new, okay, from what we had discussed this morning. Again, this is Ma'am Glads Rosario saying, learning is fun and easy, especially when you learn it with me. So, um, keep updated. Okay, keep updated with more videos. Okay, with more videos of lessons that I'm going to post in my YouTube channel. Okay, thank you. God bless and keep safe always. See you next time.